Good afternoon or morning, depending on what time zone you're in. Thanks for spending some of your time with us today. My name is John, and I'm the CEO of LogicBay Corporation. I spend my days with companies, some well known, others not, that all have one thing in common. They sell their products through dealers, resellers, and other forms of independent businesses. I'm joined today by someone I've worked with for over 14 years, Paul Tobin. He's going to do most of the work here today, but before we begin, I'd like to set your expectations. For the next 30 to 45 minutes, we're going to focus on the topic of certification in the context of an indirect sales channel. We'll share some best practices, help share some important steps and work efforts that are required, and how to use a certification strategy as a key tool to increase sales and lower costs at the same time. We'll also leave you with additional information that you can apply in your organization. Today's webinar design includes 4 components. The main component is the presentation itself, which Paul will lead. You can expect a few questions baked into his presentation, and we invite you to respond to those in the chat box if you want to. We've also have prepared a 4.5-minute demonstration video we'll show towards the end that'll help bring some concepts we're going to talk about to life. Our presentation is going to be at a very high level, and we certainly can't cover everything you need to know about certification in our short time together today. So at the end, you'll have the opportunity to immediately download additional information that can help you apply some of the concepts we'll discuss in your organization at the end of the session. So let's get right into it. Paul?
Thanks, John. It's a pleasure to be here and to be with John here today and with all of you. Thank you for attending. Let's start by setting a foundation as to what a certification actually is. You can read the definition on this slide, but it's actually about more than validating competency, as this definition implies. It's also about you being able to ensure and enforce a very high standard of quality, process, and repeatability worldwide among business partners who, in many cases, are independent businesses. If you have questions, please add to the chat area. And with that, we're going to move to why you should certify different job roles within your company. Holistically, it's about customer satisfaction. But it's about much more than that. Here's the bottom line. Satisfied customers lead to satisfied channel partners. And that yields increased sales, better margins, and lower warranty costs. It's a ripple effect, and it's all good for you and your channel. For example, it will accomplish all of the following for your company. It will reduce warranty expenses through improved service and support. It will increase sales and margins through a better trained sales force. It'll enforce compliance through verification. It'll motivate your channel and increase channel mind share by creating pride in your partner channel. And it will reassure customers that your partner knows your products and services. And ultimately, it will increase customer satisfaction. Certifications are a win-win for everyone. So with that, I do want to ask you a question, see if we can get some feedback. What is your organization's primary reason for having or implementing a certification program? And John, would you like to say a few words about this?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Good question. This is the first of 4 questions we have for you today. If you care to share a response with us, please use the chat box, as I said, you see on the screen. If not, that's okay too. We'll just drive on. If you have any questions on responses, any of these questions that we'll comment on, we'll come back to it. You know, Paul, the majority of our clients who sell on the channel, as you know, have some sort of minimum requirement that the sales reps that work for their selling partners have to achieve. Certification is usually the primary piece of evidence that makes us feel confident that a salesperson or service tech can represent our brand effectively. But there's other reasons as well, and Paul, you've mentioned a couple of others already. Anyone out there care to share their specific reasons why they either have or are considering a certification program? All right, we've got some comments here. Steve saying to validate that our partners understand our products and more importantly how to install and service our products. Yeah, that's a very good answer, Steve. A very good reason to do certification. And Andrew's talking about maintaining sales rep knowledge. Yep, all good stuff. Tim, ensure consistent, accurate implementation. So we're seeing a common theme here around ensuring that some kind of standard is maintained as we're talking about. So that's great to see. Keep them coming. Paul, back to you.
Thank you, John. Now that we've discussed why you should certify, the next question is who within your distribution channel should be certified. On this slide, you'll see the two most important roles, and they came up in the chats already, one service comment and a sales comment. But sales and service are certainly the two most important roles. And almost every industry requires a sales certification. The categories of certification among sales channels typically are product knowledge, as well as NPIs, new product introductions, NPIs, and existing products, but also industry knowledge. So they understand, your sales reps understand the competitive landscape and what industry trends are, etc. Thirdly is application knowledge. In many cases, your product fits within an existing application. In just about every case, really, that is how it goes. Even a farm implement, fits into the bigger picture of farming. So your sales reps always have to understand how your product fits in the larger application. And then the fourth category is government regulations, compliance, etc. We'll talk in a little bit about how to know which of these to apply in any specific situation, but these are the overarching four categories that we see for sales. Now, in some industries, service is also important, as evidenced in the chat already. Service certifications typically include basic fundamentals of the systems within your platform, be it a mechanical system, electrical, electronics, all of the above, or whatever it might be. So you always want to make sure they're competent in the fundamentals of your technology or your product. Beyond the fundamentals, consider product scheduled maintenance certifications. And if your certification program is multi-tiered, which we'll discuss later also, you should consider an advanced system repair level for experts in your distribution channel. Now, those are the two primary roles, but now let's take a look at additional roles that you should consider. In addition to two top candidates, consider parts, finance, and customers. Parts is essentially a sales certification, right? But customized to a counter salesperson versus a territory or showroom salesperson. Like sales certification, it often includes product knowledge, industry knowledge, and application knowledge. Now here's, I think, a very interesting case study from Caterpillar that I want to share with you about this. Not so long ago, I sat in a very intense meeting with CAT's dealer advisory group. About 15 dealer executives were in the meeting in a big oval table. During the meeting, a heavy-set dealer executive sitting directly across from me emphatically stated that his dealership and others were only capturing a fraction of the available parts sales with any customer. He explained that when a customer came to a CAT dealer to purchase a key CAT component, such as a hydraulic pump for a dozer, the parts manager sold the customer that part and only that part, and then the customer left the shop and went elsewhere, like an automotive store or some place like that, to buy the related hoses, gaskets, etc. Why? Because the parts counter salesperson was not knowledgeable on all the related parts that were part of this assembly and likely to be needed. This resulted in considerable lost revenue opportunity. The dealer executive then paused, and there was silence in the room. He looks across the table at all of us, and then he slams his fist on the table and shouted, "Damn it, we need to make it easier to be smarter." I always remember that. I thought it was so articulate. Let's make it easier to be smarter. CAT responded by delivering a parts counter salesperson certification. Once the parts salesperson was trained on how the part fits within the greater application and how to consult with the customer, they were able to sell many more parts. Another group to be considered for certification is the finance group that many of you may have out there, offer financing on your products. Although it's a sales role in many ways, it is mostly focused on compliance and the specific finance programs that you're offering, which is basically their product that they're selling. Additionally, some companies, especially equipment manufacturers, provide customer training, often in the form of operator training. Hyster-Yale, lift trucks, Caterpillar, Daimler all provide operator training, much of it as a billable revenue stream. So this leads us to the next question. Who is the primary target for certification in your organization and why? John?
Yeah, Paul, good stuff. In our experience, the sales function is almost always the primary target for obvious reasons. But as you said, Paul, sometimes certifications target the service and parts functions as well. And we believe that depends on how complex the product is that's being sold. So for you out there, how about sharing what role your organization is targeting? And more importantly, why? If you care to share, use the chat box to share your thoughts. We'll keep an eye on it. Paul?
Thank you, John. Well, hopefully some of you are providing some feedback. We will jump over to the more difficult part of certifications. How do you structure a certification program? It is important to really understand how certifications can be structured. And it does get somewhat complicated because you'll need to make decisions related to the time a certification is in effect, which we call frequency, and when and if renewal is required. You also need to understand the implications of single and multi-level certifications. We'll simplify it for you in the next couple of slides, but feel free to add chats with any questions if I'm not succeeding at simplifying it for you. So let's jump to the next slide. We're going to start by talking about the levels of certification that you can and should use. This graphic shows how partner mindshare increases as sales through the partner increase. Now that's pretty obvious if you stop and think about it, but mindshare is tied to sales. If your channel partner isn't delivering a lot of sales of your product, you probably aren't going to get a lot of mindshare. Success breeds success in the channel. They both work reciprocally. Now, as a wise friend of mine once said, great partnerships don't create sales. Sales creates great partnerships. And I think that sums this up quite a bit, is that once sales start happening at a dealer or distributor or any channel partner, then mindshare picks up immediately and everything starts working the way you want it to work. So with that knowledge that it's tied to mindshare, when you look at the different levels that you should be using for your certification program, it seems that you really need to focus on single level if you're on the lower end of the mindshare spectrum. You have to make it simple. Something to go in, get certified, and move on, because you're not going to have a whole lot of mindshare. However, as you move through greater sales with those partners and they become more and more tied to you, you can start adding multi-level. What we typically see in the service side is up to 5 levels. And that 5th level on the service side is often a mentorship level, where they are mentoring the new guys and the younger guys working in the shop. On the sales side, typically a multi-level is 3 levels. And so as mindshare increases, you can increase the sophistication of your certification program. But don't get ahead of the curve, or you will have difficulty enforcing your certification. Obviously, if you have a fully captive audience, like Caterpillar and Daimler and others of that size, you have a lot of control, and I've seen some very complex multi-level certifications. By the way, If you're in that category, I'd be happy to share those with you after the session at another time. So please keep that open as an option for you. Now that talks about the certification levels. Let's talk about the renewal strategies. There are primarily 4 strategies for certifications. One is perpetual. Once you achieve it, it's yours forever. Another is annual. It must be renewed each year. Now, annual can also be semi-annual or quarterly. I use the term annual, but it must be renewed after a certain amount of time, typically a year. Then you have calendars that no matter when you get your certification, the first of the year, it needs to be renewed, and often within the first 30 or 60 days of the new year. Now, what's increasingly becoming popular, because the technology is there now to manage it effectively, are dynamic certifications. Dynamic certifications must be updated incrementally as requirements develop. Example might be a certification on new products. Well, you're 3 months into the certification and another new product's introduced. For you to maintain your sales certification, you have to add completion of that particular training curriculum on that new product. And you'll be given a time frame in which to do it. If you don't achieve it within that time, you lose your certification. We're seeing more and more of the dynamic certifications coming into play out there. And like I said, I think it's because technology will enable it to automate that whole process, and it probably is the best type of certification for most customers. All right, so that's how you define it with your type of renewal strategies, what we call frequency, and the type of structure, single or multiple. But now that you have your certification strategy in place and you've deployed it to your partners, you might ask, how do I enforce certifications? The truth is, certifications will die on the vine without proper motivation within your channel. And like all motivation challenges, motivating your partners to achieve certifications comes down to the carrot or the stick, sometimes both. Here are some best practices for achieving engagement with your channel partners. The carrot. Let's start with that one. Next slide, we'll go to the stick. The carrot. Acknowledgement and recognition go a long way. When someone completes an important curriculum or certification, your PRM, Partner Relationship Management Technology, or your LMS, Learning Management System, should allow them to print out a professionally designed certification diploma that can be hung on the wall of their office, cubicle, or service bay. This is a way of recognizing achievement that really works. Now, you can also use your PRM or LMS to publicly recognize certifications. Some companies, especially when they've got pretty good mind share with their partner channel, they go so far as sending senior executives to the partners' offices to conduct graduation ceremonies for advanced certifications and then promoting the event through the PRM LMS. So that brings a lot of attention right at the partners' offices to people who have completed their certification, and it creates some strong ties with executives with the partners. Another way of doing it is to tie reward points and gift redemptions to completion of certain curriculums and advancement of certifications. Again, if you have the right PRM or LMS system, you can automate this whole process. And finally, most partners will attach career advancement and pay scales to levels of certification. In this model, getting certified means more money, and for most sales and service people, that's the strongest motivator of all. However, with this model, you need to carefully consider legal ramifications. Here's why. Because career advancement and pay scales, as mentioned above, are often tied to certifications, they are managed or administered improperly, and an individual's career can be inadvertently derailed due to their certification status, and a lawsuit can result. For example, you may have a very, very good service tech who does not have English as his primary language, second language. He's definitely is very talented at servicing your products, but he didn't pass your certification exam because of the language barrier. So he gets set back. he doesn't make the money he deserves, you are open for a lawsuit. So you have to be careful with that type of certification. I will say I have heard of lawsuits that have occurred due to notification errors, so you need to be careful and diligent, but I have never seen one in any of the companies that I've worked with. All right, how about the stick? Now that we've looked at the carrot, let's look at the stick. It's a very powerful motivator, and it can be wielded in a number of the following ways. First one's very interesting. Warranty reimbursement tied to certification. In this model, the PRM/LMS, whatever you're using, maintains a dynamic database of certified service technicians in the channel. Certain repairs must be completed by certified service techs only. If a violation occurs, the PRM/LMS system flags this violation and the warranty reimbursement is not made. We do this with Daimler Trucks North America with their Freightliner group. We are tied in through an API with their warranty system, and every warranty claim verifies certification within our PRM system for that particular service tech. That's a strong motivator. Another one is partner contracts with certification clauses. Most partner contracts should include that a partner maintain a required level of certified personnel. If the partner does not maintain that level, then the contract is put at risk. Also, participation incentive programs can require enrollment or certification. This works very well, of course, in the sales side of the business, and it drives a lot of salespeople to make sure they're certified so they can participate in your incentive programs. You know, we've done a lot of different certification programs, and one of them actually tied to service techs, you know, getting points that allowed them to buy toolboxes and other branded merchandise, and they were all displayed. When you won the toolbox, you know, it's very noticeable that it's an award from Daimler, and it's in your service bay, and it got a lot of positive feedback from service techs all over the world who said that it added really to their stature to be winning that branded merchandise. And now also the last one I want to talk about is career advancement and pay scale tied to certification. We talked about that with the carrot. It works both ways, as a carrot or a stick. But when you do use it, be aware of legal ramifications. So with that on how you enforce certifications, I do have another question for you. What challenges have you had, if any, around participation in certification requirements? John?
Yeah, that's a great question. Going back to the last question, we've had a few comments. Andrew's talking about targeting sales reps for products and industry knowledge. Steve's focused on sales and installation. Reduce scenarios where equipment doesn't work properly. Yeah, that's great, Steve. Thanks for sharing that. Common one there on the service side for sure. And Jerry's struggling with a 80-20 rule living in the channel. Yeah, that's quite common. So thanks for that. So this question really is around obstacles to participation, and we've seen that any rollout of a certification usually has all the best intentions, right? But quite often it's a battle for the sales reps or service techs' valuable time. In a lot of cases, the good intentions fall victim to unintended consequences or behavior that actually is counter to what the certification is trying to achieve, believe it or not. It's especially true in a non-captive channel where that sales rep is trying to sell several, oftentimes competing brands and products. The key here is to make it as simple and efficient as possible to participate and complete a certification, then tie an attractive incentive to achieving it, as Paul said. So I'm interested to see what challenges, if any, have you had when it comes to rolling out your certification. So we've got also hard to manage expirations. Yeah, so good one, Andrew. A lot of us think linearly, right? So let's roll out a certification, but we don't think about maintaining the ability to track expirations if they do in fact expire at scale. right? It's easy to do with a handful of folks. It's a lot harder to do with lots of folks, hundreds or thousands. Jerry's talking about getting partners to support the program and give us access to the sales guys. Yeah, certainly getting partner principals involved with the program and getting their buy-in is key to success because they typically stand in between you and the sales folks you're trying to reach. So that's a good one, Jerry. Thanks for sharing that. And Kelly's talking about difficult to manage due dates, timeliness, and have sales reps retain the information. Yeah, it kind of ties back to perhaps what Andrew's saying as well. So all good stuff. Thanks for your feedback. Good stuff. I see we're all struggling with some of these issues in our own world. So back to you, Paul.
Thanks, John, and thanks everyone for your input. The comments you've made are perfect segues into what I do want to talk about next, which is how do you manage and measure certifications? So I guess this is a very timely slide. You can do it manually, but we sure as heck don't recommend it. You need to do it through automation tools. It's very time consuming otherwise. So you will need a PRM, Partner Relationship Management System, or a Learning Management System that will automate this process. Your users should be able to see their progress in any and all certifications in a single visual view, as shown in the picture you're looking at to the right of this slide. You need to see it when the salesperson opens, in this case, it's the salesperson, their individual learning plan, which often is presented right at the home page of your portal. It includes a set, as you see here, that individual learning plan includes a sales certification, and that is important for them to be able to see their progress in it and to be able to just click on it and open any of the courses they need or any of the activities they need to follow, to be able to do that right from this screen on their home page of their portal. Reminders as to when certifications will expire and when each must be renewed should be automatically generated at flexible intervals. I say flexible because you as owners of this program decide whether 60 days, 30 days, and 1 week are the right notifications or what they might be, but you need to have the flexibility to set it up to what works best for your company. And requirements for recertification should be clearly posted. So that's how you manage certifications. Now, the next slide, I'm going to show you how you measure them. And then we're going to take a look at a video, short video that will show you how you do this live and in your day-to-day world once you put a PRM or LMS system in place or leverage the one you have. So managing certifications or measuring certifications, as administrators, you should receive reports available in dashboards or push to your inbox that show your certification status across regions, districts, and individual partners. You want to be able to look at a graph like this. Top right, see certifications completed at 454, and click on it and be able to drill right down to each and every partner you have. So you're looking at a global view, but you want to be able to go down to region, districts, and individual partners. Now, these reports can also be automatically distributed to your partners and your internal stakeholders. So you might want to configure a dashboard for your executive management and have it emailed automatically on any certain, let's say, weekly or monthly, whatever, so they can see firsthand where you're at with your program, who's certified, who isn't, where problem areas exist, whatever it is that you want others to see. Or you can send them to your, let's say, your sales managers out at your partners. So they get a list every day or every week that shows what percentage of their staff is certified and in which certifications. So those, from a high level view, are those two slides show you how you manage and measure certifications. Now, before we show you a video of how this happens in real time, I'm going to have one more question for you that will lead us into the video. And that's, to what degree does your organization have the infrastructure to scale a certification the way we just talked about? John?
Yeah, great question. We see the same pattern, Paul, when companies implement training and certification in the channel. It usually starts out with manual tracking using spreadsheets and file sharing tools. And eventually, we start shopping for learning management systems. As the sales channel grows, we realize we need more than just training and certifications. We need to go beyond that and provide more tools and other access to non-training systems that people need to get into to sell effectively for us. And that's where partner relationship management, or PRM, traditionally comes into the picture. But today, even startups can start out with a PRM system, so they don't have to migrate to one later. I'd be interested to see what systems you all have joined us today are using. If you care to share, go ahead and use the chat box and let us know what infrastructure you've invested in to date to support your certifications. So we've got a blend of LMS and Salesforce for tracking. Yeah, Salesforce is pretty much predominant at the manufacturer vendor level. Not so much at the partner level, but about half our clients use Salesforce.com at the manufacturer level and tie into their partners' CRMs as well. And that's also what a PRM layer does as well. It allows for that tracking. But having an LMS with that, pretty common. Mostly manual processes, Andrew. Thanks for sharing. Spreadsheets here, Jerry. Yeah, not uncommon. So, pretty typical here with the few responses you've provided. Thank you very much. It's usually a combination of systems as companies go through those phases that we talked about. So as Paul said, we're going to show you about a 4.5-minute, very tight demonstration video so you can see how we help some customers bring this to life. And so we're going to load this video up. It's going to be about 4.5 minutes. Enjoy it. And then once it completes, give us a minute. It might take a second to get the presentation back up, but we will conclude for today and provide an offer for you that I mentioned at the very beginning. So enjoy the video.
I'm logging into the system as a learner, Mark Grayson, and instantly on my homepage, I see everything that I need related to training. An image carousel to highlight specific items, buttons to access different types of training content, my development plan, which consists of training that's been assigned to me by a manager, a list of time-sensitive activities based on that development plan, and areas for notifications and news updates. Access to training is just a click away. First, we'll take a look at certifications. There are many options when it comes to certifications. They can be set to expire after a certain period of time, requiring learners to get recertified on a regular basis, or they can be set to never expire. There's also an option to require learners to complete any new content that is added to a certification in order to remain certified. Here, I can see every certification that I have access to, my current status in that certification, and whether or not it's on my development plan. Development plans are based on goals, and a goal can consist of web-based and instructor-led courses, certifications, custom activities, or any combination of the three. A goal can be assigned by a manager, and that manager can set target start and completion dates. I'm quickly able to launch and view certification requirements right from my homepage. I can see my current progress in the certification and a list of requirements that I need to complete. From here, I'm able to start new courses or pick up where I left off in others. I'm easily able to resume this course at the exact same point that I was at earlier. I'm going to close this one for the time being. Perhaps I'll pick it up again later. There's also an instructor-led sales skills training course in this certification I need to take, so I'll view all instances of that class. I'll select the one in June that I'd like to register for, but it looks like this particular course requires manager approval. I'll need to have my manager sign off on this one before I'm added to the class roster. While I'm waiting for my manager to approve that request, I'll take another look at my development plan. I mentioned custom activities earlier. This allows managers to add action items to a learner's development plan that don't fall under traditional training options. I have a custom activity assigned to make a sales call. I reached out to that contact earlier today and left a voicemail, so I'll mark that complete. The status changes to 100%, and I save my changes. Now, my sales readiness goal is 100% complete. You can use custom activities, courses, and certifications to deliver training to your users in a variety of ways. Next, I'll log in as a manager, Allison Stark. Her homepage has a similar look and feel to Mark Grayson's, but with a focus on learning management. Here I can manage users individually or as a team. I'll view Mark Grayson's development plan. I see he's successfully completed the sales call we had assigned to him. I'll view the activity details. I notice he's only left a voicemail, so I'll edit the activity. I'll update the note, the status, and the percent complete. I'll save all of the changes and notify Mark. He'll receive an email letting him know that his development plan has been updated. As a manager, I have the ability to approve any class requests that are submitted by learners. I can go through my Manage Approval link and give Mark Grayson access to the Sales Skills training class that he recently requested. And as a manager, I have access to a variety of powerful reporting capabilities and tools. One of these being the Performance Dashboard. Here, I can view all relevant information about my team's training progress, their recent logins, completed goals, the number of certifications and curricula acquired, course completions, class registrations, even the number of items accessed. I can use these dashboards to view high-level data or drill down to a specific organization or user. A manager has all the reporting capabilities and tools they need to ensure the success of their learners.
Hope you enjoyed that demonstration. Just give us a second and we'll resume and we'll close it up for you and provide the offer. Paul?
Thanks. That video hopefully really lets you see firsthand how you can automate a great deal of the processes involved in managing a program. So with that, I just want to summarize what we talked about today, and then we'll wrap things up with an offer for you. So in summary, what I want to say is that the benefits of certification program are many. We've talked about a lot of them, and not the least of which are the ability to lower warranty costs, increase sales, better margins, and increase customer satisfaction. And here's a summary of some of the best practices that we shared with you today. You can focus on a single job role, such as sales, or on multiple job roles. You can add additional job roles as your distribution model requires. When it comes to structure, consider your level of mind share first. That will really tell you how sophisticated you can get and still be successful. You need to make sure you enforce your certifications, and you do that with the right mix of the carrot and the stick. And finally, as we showed you in the video, you really need to automate with PRM or LMS designed specifically for the channel. It'll make your job a lot easier. Remember what I said earlier, satisfied customers lead to satisfied channel partners, and that yields increased sales, better margins, lower warranty costs, and this is all a ripple effect, and it's all good for you and your channel. Thank you for your participation today. We really appreciate it. Great comments by all. Hopefully I helped give you an overview. You'll find a lot more information in the offers John's about to talk about. So John, describe the offers, and again, thank you all for attending.
Thanks, Paul. Great job. So here's the offer that you should see on the right side of your screen. If you click on that click here button, you'll go to a landing page where you can get the items I'm about to describe. The one on the left is a research brief from Serious Decisions. Many of you might be aware of Serious Decisions, some of you not, but they focus almost exclusively on performance and sales channels. And they also do some work in direct sales forces as well. LogicBay is a subscriber to Serious Decisions. We participate in a lot of their research, and we take a lot of their research, and it does have some influence on our product roadmap as a company. One of the things we're able to do as a subscriber to Serious Decisions is share these research briefs like the one you see here. So you'll be able to get a copy of that if you take us up on our offer. The second thing is a LogicBay ebook. It's a very detailed ebook that covers in a lot more detail what we covered at a very high level today. So you'll also get a copy of that for free if you'd like one of those. And then finally, because you've attended this webinar, we're actually offering a free implementation of a certification platform, much like you saw demonstrated a few minutes ago. We're willing to spin up a PRM for you and support a single certification so you can kind of test drive what that might look like in a sophisticated system like we just demonstrated for you. So feel free to click on the offer, fill out the short form, and get access to these things right away. And we want to, on behalf of LogicBay and Paul and ChannelSAGE, we want to thank you for participating today. We will hang out when we switch to another closing video. We will hang out and monitor the chat box. If anybody has any lingering questions, we'll certainly answer them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul to close it out for final comments. Paul?
Thank you. I'm always eager to share the expertise I've garnered from working with some of the biggest corporations in the world on certifications and some much smaller. So don't hesitate to contact me if you want to talk about it at all. There's no obligation. I always love talking about these things, and I always like to share the limited things that I know. So thank you so much. Much appreciated all.